Even if it is Barbara Makowski, who's now retired and gone, or Hillary Clinton, or O'Malley, or whoever you want to pick, will theoretically start out with 242 electoral votes if states stick to their pattern. And so the conventional wisdom among the punditry class is that the Republican nominee, no matter who they are, cannot win, because you have to run the table of the rest of the states in order to win the presidential election. And that is all true. It's daunting. If the Republican nominee loses Florida, it's over. The Democrat will win. But the reason the blue wall exists is that it's because of this division by group identity. Because to win those blue states, states like Illinois, New York, California, Pennsylvania, Michigan, New Jersey, to be competitive in Virginia, North Carolina, Indiana, and Florida, New Mexico, Nevada, to win all those states, they have to divide us. Because they have to run up overwhelming majorities among those groups. They have to win 75% of millennials. They have to win 75% of the Latino vote. They have to win 75% of single women. They have to win 95% of African Americans. They have to win 75% of Asians, 75% of Jewish voters. If they don't make those numbers happen in those states, the states all go the other way. And the off-year elections, and particularly here in Illinois, is an example of what happens when those numbers start to slide. Now, it's much tougher for a conservative candidate, a Republican nominee in a presidential cycle because it's a broader electorate. But the point for all of us to understand in terms of what's going on in the country today and the destruction of American exceptionalism is our country has always been built on the idea that we come together as a people. We are not divided in this room. You are not divided when you go out and live your life every day and interact with people who are of a different race, a different gender, a different sexuality that you probably don't even know or care about. None of us live lives of division and hatred, and yet they foment it on a daily basis based on group identity. This is what is so, in my view, evil about their policies, because it is divisive. And that is completely contrary to American exceptionalism. American exceptionalism has always been, no matter who you are, no matter where you came from, rich or poor, tall or short, fat or skinny, brown, black, white, gay or straight, whether you know it or not, here legally, working hard to try to build a new future for you and your family, as most of us have past immigrants in our family lineage. No matter who you are, whatever it is, you can come to America and build your own version of the American dream. And the key part of it is if you're willing to work hard, to be self-accountable, and to play the game on a level playing field by the rules that the founders envisioned. I got involved in all this because I believe so deeply in the free enterprise system and the founding principles to keep that path forward, that dream alive for everybody today and tomorrow and generations to come. I was a small business guy, almost went bankrupt once. I get weepy just talking about it. It's hard to talk about. And I dug out of that hole and I got back in the game. But I remember how government was in my way. I remember when a roof on my store collapsed and I was out of business for 6 months, how they slowed down the process because they didn't like my contractor. And I couldn't rebuild my store fast enough. I remember the alderman's guy coming to in Chicago. You think those stories are apocryphal? They're absolutely true. I remember the alderman's guy coming to my store and telling me that he wanted to put the alderman's sign up and would I contribute to his campaign. And when I said no, because I wasn't political, you know who showed up? The inspectors. They investigated my signs. They had a sign inspection fee, a driveway inspection fee. They had to investigate the way my driveway bisected the roadway. Imagine that. Electrical inspection fee, HVAC inspection fee. By the time they were done with me, I owed $10,000 in fines and tens of thousands of dollars of repairs. And you know what I did? I submitted. Still ticks me off. I went down and wrote a check to that campaign. And you know what happened? It all disappeared. And so when I think of you guys and what you do, and I think of Kathy Hamilton, and I think of Adam Andrzejewski, and I think of everybody, and I also want to point out David Fromm. When I got involved in this 7 years ago, and when I think of all of you, I am just so amazed and impressed by American exceptionalism. By you being here and all these folks in the network of freedom in Illinois holding government accountable to keep the freedom dream alive. It's humbling and amazing. And most of you know our work. Most people know me through the Illinois Policy Institute, but I'm the founder of the Illinois Opportunity Project, which Matt Bessler runs, Dan Cross associated with. I raise money for lots of things outside of the Illinois Policy Institute. I probably raised more money last year than anybody on the right other than Bruce Rauner for politics. I am speaking today, by the way, as Citizen Johns would like to say, not representing these are my own views, not any of the organizations with which I'm affiliated. But I got involved in 2007 because I didn't want to be that guy that lived a life caring about freedom in the free enterprise system and never got involved. And when I first got involved, I literally knew no elected officials, I knew no donors, I knew nobody in the ecosystem, if you will, that existed, which was pretty atrophied back then. And I wrote a little plan to try to build a little bit of a movement on top of what was already here. And I got started doing that, and I started to look around. There was nobody. The Republican Party was bankrupt morally, it was bankrupted intellectually, and it was bankrupted financially. There was no Tea Party movement. There was no material Americans for Prosperity that David Frum has done an amazing job to rebuild and make into a force for good in the state. There was no Denise Catoni, Burt Catoni, all of them. Art, wherever Art was. I know you're here somewhere. Art, there you are. Good to see you, Art. And so as I stood sitting here, these remarks, by the way, are completely different what I planned to say, but when I was sitting over there watching all this unfold, I just thought, what a miracle it is and what's happened in Illinois in 8 years. We are in the middle of a rebirth of a state that people had written off. When I wrote my plan to get involved in 2007, to a person, everybody told it was impossible. To a person, everybody said Illinois is gone forever. To a person, they said, John, don't waste your time. Go start another business. This is not worth the fight. And I sat down with my wife and I said, this is what everybody's telling me. My wife said, go do it anyway. When I stand here tonight, and I think that in 2014, you elected a Republican governor, who, by the way, is doing a great job. He is a friend and been a big supporter of ours, and I of him. And he's not perfect. No elected official is perfect. But given where we were and where we need to go, he's pretty darn good for where we are right now. And I know we all will have disagreements with him. All politicians eventually disappoint us. But we need elected officials on our side. We need principle-driven elected officials like Kathy Hamilton on our side who want to do the reform work that you all want every day. So when I think about American exceptionalism, I remember one thing. It's not an entitlement. It's not something that we get by birthright. We have to earn it every generation. And I get humbled when I look out in this room 7 years on from 2009 down in the city of Chicago, and I see people trying to earn that right to be exceptional as Americans. And so I want to read something to you that is one of my favorite quotes. I'm sure you've heard it before. But it really, I think, speaks to who you are and what we're all trying to do together. It's from Steve Jobs when they launched a product, because I love capitalism. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs and square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. But the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. I see patriots. Because the ones who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do. Here's to you. Thank you.